Imagine waking up one morning and seeing silver surge more than 20% from its recent $65 low. Suddenly, the metal that many people ignored is back in the spotlight, sparking a huge question in every investor's mind. Is this the beginning of a powerful new bull run, or just another classic market fakeout that will trap late buyers? If you care about where silver could be headed next, stay with me, because what's happening right now might surprise you more than you expect. Welcome back to Silver Forecast, the channel where we break down silver, markets, and money in a simple, no-hype way so you can make smarter decisions. If you enjoy clear insights and realistic market talk, make sure to subscribe right now and turn on notifications. It really helps the channel grow, and it ensures you never miss an important update when the market starts moving fast, like it is right now. Let's talk about what just happened. Silver recently bounced hard from the $65 area, climbing more than 20% in a relatively short time. Moves like this don't happen randomly. They usually come from a mix of technical breakouts, shifting investor sentiment, inflation fears, currency pressure, industrial demand, and sometimes pure market emotion. But the real question isn't just why silver moved up. The real question is whether this move has enough strength to continue, or if it's setting up a painful reversal. Think back to past silver rallies. Many investors still remember the explosive runs where silver looked unstoppable, only to suddenly reverse and crash, catching overconfident traders off guard. On the other hand, there have also been times when silver quietly started moving higher. People doubted it, and then it went on to produce massive long-term gains. The challenge is figuring out which scenario we're in right now. Picture a real-life example. Imagine someone who bought silver when it was down at $65. At first, they probably felt nervous, wondering if it could drop further. Now, after a 22% jump, they're sitting on solid gains. Some of them are thinking, should I lock in profit before it drops again? Others are thinking, what if this is just the beginning and I sell too early? This emotional tug of war between fear and greed is exactly what drives market behavior, and often creates the biggest opportunities and the biggest traps. One reason this move matters is timing. Global economic pressure is building. Inflation concerns haven't disappeared. Central banks are still navigating tricky interest rate decisions, and geopolitical uncertainty continues to hang over financial markets. In times like these, silver often attracts attention as both an industrial metal and a store of value. That dual role makes it unique. It's used in electronics, solar panels, medical equipment, and green energy, while also being treated by many investors as a hedge against currency weakness and financial instability. But let's not pretend every rally is the start of a golden era. Markets love to test optimism. Sometimes price jumps are fueled by short-term traders covering their positions, algorithmic trading, or temporary news-driven excitement. Once that energy fades, prices can drop just as quickly as they rose. That's why it's critical to look beyond the excitement and focus on structure, momentum, and broader trends. Right now, silver's bounce has sparked renewed interest from retail investors, long-term stackers, and even institutional players who might have been on the sidelines. Social media discussions about silver are increasing again. Search interest is rising. That doesn't guarantee higher prices, but it does signal growing attention, and attention is fuel in financial markets. Here's something interesting to think about. When silver rallies strongly after a major dip, it often creates two types of people. The first group is made up of believers who see the move as confirmation that silver's long-term value is finally being recognized. The second group is made up of skeptics who say, I've seen this movie before. It always ends with a crash. The truth often lies somewhere in between, and that's where smart strategy matters. Ask yourself this. If silver truly is entering a major bull run, what would that look like? We'd likely see higher highs forming over time, strong support levels holding during pullbacks, increasing demand from industry, and growing interest from long-term investors, rather than just short-term speculators. If this is just another fake-out, we might see price stall, volume fade, sentiment peak too early, and then a sharp reversal that shakes out late buyers. There's also the psychological side of this rally. When price moves fast, people feel a fear of missing out. They start thinking, what if silver doubles from here and I'm not in? And that emotion can push people to buy at the worst possible time, right before a pullback. At the same time, overly cautious investors might refuse to participate at all, missing real opportunities if the trend continues upward. That's why it's important to approach this moment with curiosity rather than blind excitement or fear. Instead of asking, how high can silver go tomorrow? It's often more useful to ask, what signs will confirm whether this move has real strength? If you've ever experienced a market fakeout before, you know how convincing they can feel. Prices rise, headlines turn bullish, influencers start calling for massive price targets, and suddenly everyone believes the rally will never end. Then, without warning, momentum fades, selling pressure increases, and panic sets in. On the other hand, if you've lived through a real bull market, you know that early doubts are common, and many people underestimate how far a true trend can run. This moment feels like a crossroads. Silver has shown real strength by climbing more than 20% from its low, but strength alone doesn't guarantee a long-term breakout. The next moves will matter a lot. How silver behaves during pullbacks, how it reacts to economic news, and how investors respond emotionally will all help reveal whether this is a genuine trend or a temporary spike. If you're watching this, I'd love to know your thoughts. Do you think silver is gearing up for a major bull run, or do you believe this is just another market trap? Drop a comment below and share your perspective. Your opinion might help other viewers see the situation from a different angle. And if you know someone who's interested in silver, investing, or precious metals, consider sharing this video with them. It could spark a great discussion or even help them avoid a costly mistake. As we continue, we're going to dive deeper into what could drive silver higher from here, what warning signs might signal a fake out, and how smart investors can approach this market without getting caught in emotional decisions. There are some powerful forces at play behind the scenes right now, and understanding them could change how you see this entire move. So stay with me, because the next part will explore the hidden drivers behind this silver surge, the key levels that could decide its future, and the signals you should watch closely if you want to stay ahead of the crowd. Let's dig deeper into what could actually be driving the silver surge, because price doesn't move in a vacuum. Behind every strong rally, there are usually multiple forces working together, some obvious and some hidden. One major driver is inflation psychology. Even when official inflation numbers cool slightly, many people still feel the real cost of living rising in their daily lives. Groceries, fuel, rent, and basic services often feel more expensive than what government data suggests. When people feel their money losing purchasing power, they naturally look for assets that might hold value over time. Silver often benefits from this mindset, especially when trust in fiat currency weakens. Another important factor is interest rates. When rates are high, cash and bonds can look attractive, which sometimes pressures precious metals. But when markets start believing that rate hikes are slowing down or that cuts might come in the future, metals like silver often get a fresh wave of buying. Investors start positioning early, trying to get ahead of a potential shift in monetary policy. If the market begins pricing in easier financial conditions, silver could continue gaining momentum. Industrial demand is also a huge piece of the puzzle. Unlike gold, silver isn't just a store of value. It's a critical material for solar panels, electric vehicles, medical devices, and advanced electronics. As the world pushes further into renewable energy and tech innovation, silver demand could rise structurally, not just speculatively. If industrial consumption continues to grow while supply remains tight, that could provide a real fundamental backbone to this rally. At the same time, supply constraints matter. Silver mining production doesn't ramp up overnight. New mining projects take years to develop, and existing mines face rising costs, regulatory pressure, and environmental challenges. If demand continues climbing faster than supply, that imbalance could support higher prices over the long run. This is one reason some long-term investors remain bullish even during volatile pullbacks. But now, let's talk about the other side, because every bullish argument has a potential counterpoint. Short-term rallies are sometimes fueled by leveraged traders and speculative capital. When price breaks above certain technical levels, algorithms and momentum traders jump in, accelerating the move. This can create a fast and exciting rally, but if that buying pressure fades, the same traders can exit quickly, causing sharp drops. If this rally is mainly driven by short-term speculation rather than long-term investment, it could lose steam faster than many expect. There's also the risk of broader market sell-offs. If equity markets suddenly crash or global risk sentiment turns negative, investors might sell silver to cover losses elsewhere or raise cash. In stressful market environments, even traditionally safe assets can face short-term selling pressure. That doesn't necessarily kill a long-term bull case, but it can create painful volatility in the short run. Another warning sign to watch is sentiment. When everyone becomes extremely bullish at the same time, markets often move in the opposite direction. If headlines start calling for unrealistic silver price targets and social media becomes flooded with hype, that can be a sign of overheating. Healthy bull markets usually climb with skepticism along the way, not with universal euphoria. Let's think in real-life terms again. Imagine two friends talking about silver. One says, "This is the start of a massive bull run. Silver is going to the moon." The other says, "Be careful. Last time it pumped like this, it dumped hard." Both could be right in different time frames. Silver might correct in the short term, but still trend higher in the long term. That's why timing, patience, and emotional control matter more than bold predictions. Another key piece is technical structure. If silver can hold above important support levels during pullbacks, that's usually a sign of strength. Strong trends don't move in straight lines. They breathe, they rise, pull back, consolidate, and then continue. If pullbacks remain shallow and buyers step in quickly, it suggests confidence. But if price starts breaking below key levels and fails to recover, it could indicate weakness or a potential trend reversal. Now think about how institutions behave. Large funds and professional traders often build positions gradually. They don't chase price blindly. If this rally attracts long-term capital, you may see steadier price behavior over time. If it's mostly retail-driven excitement, the moves might become more emotional and unstable. Watching volume, price reactions, and overall market tone can offer clues about who's really in control. There's also a historical pattern worth remembering. Silver is known for explosive upside, but also violent corrections. It often lags behind gold early in precious metals bull cycles, then suddenly outperforms in powerful bursts. Some investors believe silver's recent jump could be an early sign that a broader precious metals breakout is unfolding. Others warn that silver's volatility makes it prone to false starts. Here's a curiosity hook to keep in mind. What if this rally is neither a full fake-out nor an immediate moonshot, but the early stage of a longer, more complex trend? Markets rarely move in simple narratives. Sometimes the real story is a series of higher lows over months, building pressure before a much larger breakout later on. This is why the smartest approach often isn't extreme bullishness or extreme skepticism, but flexible thinking. Instead of betting everything on one outcome, experienced investors watch how the market behaves and adjust accordingly. They pay attention to signals, not just emotions. Let me ask you something. If silver pulls back from here, would you see that as a warning sign or a buying opportunity? And if it continues climbing, at what point do you think it becomes overextended? Share your thoughts in the comments, because these discussions often reveal insights that even experienced investors might overlook. As we move toward the final part, we're going to bring everything together. We'll look at realistic scenarios for silver's next major move, how different types of investors might approach this moment, and what could ultimately decide whether this surge becomes a historic bull run or another market fakeout. The final part will focus on actionable thinking, future possibilities, and the big question everyone wants answered: where silver could realistically go next, and how you can stay one step ahead without getting caught in hype or fear. Now, let's bring everything together and talk about what really matters moving forward. Silver has already made a powerful move, and the big question now is not just where it came from, but where it could realistically go next and how you can think about this moment without getting caught in hype or fear. There are a few possible paths silver could take from here. One scenario is that this rally continues, building higher highs and higher lows over time. In this case, pullbacks would likely be seen as opportunities rather than signs of failure. Momentum would stay strong, buyers would keep stepping in, and confidence in the trend would slowly grow. This is what a healthy bull run often looks like. Not a straight vertical pump, but a steady, persistent climb that keeps surprising people who expect it to fail. Another scenario is a temporary pause or consolidation. After a strong 22% surge, it's normal for markets to cool off. Silver could move sideways for a while, shaking out impatient traders and letting the market reset. This phase can feel boring or frustrating, but it often builds the foundation for the next major move. Sometimes the biggest breakouts come right after a period where most people lose interest. Then there's the less exciting but very real possibility of a deeper pullback. If momentum fades, if broader markets weaken, or if sentiment becomes too euphoric too quickly, silver could retrace a significant portion of its recent gains. That doesn't automatically mean the long-term story is dead, but it would test investor patience and discipline. These are the moments where emotional decisions tend to hurt people the most. Think about how different types of investors might handle this. A long-term silver believer might see dips as chances to accumulate more over time, focusing on years rather than weeks. A short-term trader might look for quick price swings, trying to profit from volatility. Someone new to the market might feel overwhelmed, unsure whether to buy, sell, or wait. There's no single perfect strategy, but there is one mindset that consistently helps: staying calm, staying informed, and avoiding impulsive moves. Here's a real-life perspective. Imagine someone who bought silver during a previous rally at what turned out to be a local top. For months, they might have felt regret watching the price fall, but if they stayed patient and focused on the bigger picture, they might now see price coming back toward their entry, maybe even above it. Markets often reward patience more than perfect timing. At the same time, imagine someone who missed earlier buying opportunities and is now feeling pressure to jump in because price is rising. That fear of missing out can push people into buying at emotionally charged moments. Sometimes it works out, but other times it leads to buying high and selling low. The key difference between successful and struggling investors often comes down to emotional control. What makes this moment especially interesting is that silver sits at the intersection of multiple powerful trends. On one side, there are macroeconomic pressures like inflation concerns, currency debasement, debt levels, and shifting central bank policies. On another side, there's growing industrial demand driven by renewable energy, electric vehicles, and technological expansion. And layered on top of all that is investor psychology, sentiment cycles, and market speculation. If these forces align, silver could surprise a lot of people on the upside. It has a history of making explosive moves when conditions are right. But if expectations run too far ahead of reality, or if global conditions shift suddenly, it could also disappoint those expecting a straight line rise. So instead of asking, will silver go up or down next week? A more powerful question might be, how will I react if silver rises, falls, or goes sideways? Planning your response in advance can help you avoid emotional decisions in the heat of the moment. If silver continues higher, you might consider how to protect profits, scale in or out, or simply hold based on your long-term outlook. If it pulls back, you might think about whether that fits into a broader uptrend or signals a change in structure. And if it stalls, you might use that time to learn more, refine your strategy, and stay patient. One of the most fascinating things about markets is that they test people psychologically as much as financially. Silver especially has a reputation for shaking out weak hands, triggering strong emotions, and then moving in unexpected ways. The people who tend to do best over time are often the ones who stay curious, disciplined, and adaptable. Let's also talk about expectations. Some voices online might call for extreme price targets, predicting silver will double, triple, or skyrocket overnight. While big moves are possible, it's important to separate realistic potential from pure hype. Sustainable trends usually build over time. The most powerful gains often come when people least expect them, not when everyone is already convinced. At this stage, silver's 22% rebound from the $65 low is a meaningful signal. It tells us that buyers are willing to step in aggressively at certain levels. It also tells us that volatility is alive and that this market is far from boring. Whether this becomes the foundation of a historic bull run or another dramatic fakeout will depend on how price, fundamentals, and sentiment evolve over the coming weeks and months. Now I want to bring the focus back to you. How are you personally viewing this silver move? Are you excited, skeptical, cautious, or just watching from the sidelines? Do you think silver is about to enter a major bull run? Or do you believe this rally will fade like others in the past? Share your thoughts in the comments, because your perspective adds value to this community and might spark meaningful conversations. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure you share this video with someone who follows silver, investing, or precious metals. It could help them see the market more clearly or avoid making decisions based purely on emotion. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Silver Forecast so you can stay updated on future market moves, trend shifts, and deep dives into what's really driving silver behind the scenes. As we move forward, remember this. Markets will always tempt you with excitement and scare you with uncertainty. Silver will rise, fall, and surprise people, just as it always has. But if you stay informed, patient, and thoughtful, you'll be in a far stronger position than those chasing hype or reacting to fear. The story of this silver rally is still being written. Whether it turns into a legendary bull run or another market fakeout, one thing is certain: the next chapter is going to be interesting. Stay sharp, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next Silver Forecast video.